Hey, it's Cindy. I'm back. Okay, let's try this again. I'm waiting to add. So today our Love Talk Live is about narcissism. Yeah. Tell me it's working. Yay! Okay, now you're over to the side. Wait a minute, hold on.
Can you see me?
Oh,
Okay.
I can't turn my phone while I can see you, but your phone, your face is to the side.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well then in that case, hold on. Let me see here. It's unfortunate because I was like, oh
out.
cool, there was this tripod here.
Yay!
And yeah, but I don't know if I can set it. Let me see if I can set it up. I might have to, I don't want to have to hold my phone.
Sorry guys. It's just 1 second here.
Inside my, it doesn't go all the way up. Yeah, sorry. I know I ended up having to switch rooms. But it's okay though. I mean, we can still do this. Yeah, earlier this morning I was
great. Well, we're live. We're live. So let's start.
Yeah, let's start. Let's just get started.
Okay. Yay. All
if
right.
You want, go to my car. I have the thing for my car. The thing. You know what I mean? That you put the video in. You like stick it to your car like that. I have one in there if you want to go grab it. I have a friend that happens to be here.
Hi, Melissa.
Hey, Melissa.
Welcome. Awesome.
Yay.
Okay.
Is this live on my page?
We're
too?
live. I don't know, but
okay. Well, that's cool. I know it's live on your page.
Let's go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's get
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I am so excited you're here, and we're going to go ahead and dive right into this juicy topic because we have a limited amount of time, and I want to share as much love as we can. Oh, hi, Shayna. I'm excited to see everyone.
And it's Shanna.
Yeah.
It's funny because I kept calling her Shayna too. Shanna. Hey, girl.
Shanna like banana.
Hi. Yeah.
Okay.
She's awesome like banana.
Yes. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So let's just start with the definition of narcissism. How would you describe, maybe not even the definition, how would you describe narcissistic behavior, Jeannie?
Okay, so, there is a spectrum. And all of us, interestingly enough, there's like these archetypes, and narcissism is the individual I. And obviously there are certain needs and desires that we have, but they have to be healthy. When they get to a place of narcissist, for the most part, and by the way, this behavior, gosh, it's almost like an avatar. It's the skin that they take on, and they typically have dealt with a lot of neglect or abuse. Now, abuse isn't just physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional, mental, right? It encompasses all of that. But a form of abuse that people are forgetting sometimes is enmeshing, like a mother who maybe the father leaves and she has a child, and it could be a son or a daughter, right? But in this case, we'll say a son. And then she is coddles him a lot. She relies on him for a lot of her emotional support. It's like I matter more than you, and this starts to get wired into their neural pathways. This is why I love studying a lot, because our brains are being shaped and morphed all the time. By the time we're 18 months, our attachment style is established. Now, most people who deal with narcissism, and I know I haven't gotten to the full definition, but I want to give you a spectrum of it. And really what it is their attachment style is called avoidant. There's also secure, and anxious. And you can be a combination of secure anxious. I won't get too much into attachment styles unless you want to talk about it here
because
in a little bit.
That's a different story, and we could talk about that
That's
all
a
day.
different thing.
Just I really want
But
to
I
keep
have
this
discovered
very laser focused. So yeah,
perfect.
keep going.
And I, you know what? And I love individuals like you. First of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. Thank you for what it is that you're doing to help heal humanity. And I love when a host is able to sort of anchor me back, you know, kind of bring me back into the topic. So I honor you for that, and thank you ahead of time. But avoidant attachment style, that most narcissists are going to fall under the avoidant attachment style. They could potentially be anxious, and it could be, you know what I mean? But for the most part, hold on, I'm going to try to put my phone on a thing. So, because I mean, now it's like, hello. My arm was like, look at my bicep right now. I just got a workout. The narcissists lack the ability to empathize. They are going to energetically and emotionally drain you. They're going to confuse you. These individuals have what's called, and anything that I mention, I always encourage people to study and research this information. Okay. You know, so that you have a deeper understanding. There was something I was going to say.
So the other thing too, I wanted to, you know, bring this up. A lot of times we see narcissists come out of, you know, one or both narcissists, you know, parents that have narcissistic tendencies as well, where maybe there isn't as much trauma involved, but it does get passed down. You know, there's a spectrum of that trauma, right?
Exactly. And today, oh my God, unbelievable. You know what? I'm not gonna lie.
Are you okay?
I'm okay. The thing just fell, and I'm just gonna do my best. Sorry if this is shaky. I just want to say this really quick. Before I came in, I prayed. I always pray before I do any kind of like interview or anything like that. And I really had plenty of time to prepare for this, and it was all like good. And something kept telling me, you know, it's funny. It's not that something kept telling me, but it's just, I'm saying this for a reason. Sometimes things will happen and it'll try to deter you and detract you from getting a message out there. And right now, there is an epidemic that is taking place in this world, but mostly in this country, and here, or in other countries too. I don't even want to just put it to the USA. Okay. 60% of marriages are failing in divorce because most of them are in a narcissist / codependent type dynamic. Now, this does not mean that the person that falls mostly under the codependent doesn't have their own moments where narcissism comes into play. But for the most part, these people care to understand where the other person is coming from. We're able to take accountability and responsibility. Like, you know what? My bad that I realized I played it back, and I'm like, I'm sorry. If sorry comes natural to you, now listen, this is the thing, and I always have to touch on the imbalance, that how pendulums can swing like in the other direction too. If you're saying sorry all the time for every little tiny thing, okay, then there's some healing within you that also needs to take place. Do you know what I'm saying? And you're either in with a partner who is you already had this tendency in you. Nobody attracts anybody by accident. And one of the things that I feel very strongly about is when I talk about accountability and responsibility, we're wanting these people to take accountability and responsibility, and they're not. So at some point, we have to recognize, at the end of the day, it's a choice. We attracted these people because we have some wounds and some imbalances within us that brought them to us. But if you wake up to the realization that your relationship can be a tool for soul growth, that you recognize, wow, we're really being pressed right now, but this is the moment where the coal turns into the diamond. Oh my God, we got married under the base of conditional love, which is fear-based love, which is broken love, which is distorted love, the crap that we see on TV and in books or whatever. Maybe some books actually tell more of the truth. But people are falling into love, anybody can fall into love. That's really easy. I am here to teach people how to step up into love. If you are in a relationship where a person is shaming you, blaming you, just you're always doing everything you can to like please them or make them happy, and then you
Right.
start to realize, okay, I need to bend a little, I need to bend a little. Now you're bending and you're bending, but they're never bending. They're never bending. And when you voice that, you get more shame thrown on top of you. Do you understand?
Right.
This is
So,
sickening.
so,
It's sickening for our soul, our hearts, our brains.
right.
Our nervous system sync up with these people. And the word that you hear a lot is like the energy vampires.
Yep.
They are so disconnected.
So that actually, you know, so that's where the codependency comes into play, where
Yes.
there's the, you know, if you do something wrong, then, I mean, anything, right? It's
Anything.
10 times worse, or in their eyes, right? If you're not perfect, there's a constant, you know, approval seeking,
Hypocrisy.
approval seeking process that goes on, not to mention the, you know, and it becomes this cycle of, you know, breaking down your spirit, and,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
what I mean. It
right,
is.
right, as you said,
And
and losing who you are as a human being, and not being clear on what light that you're bringing into the world. So it literally, I mean, I've seen these things, you know, I've seen women with their hair falling out. It's caused them cancer.
I'm trying to do that
And I
again
mean,
with
this is, there's both sides to this, right? Men and women.
yes.
Um,
Yeah, and that's the other thing
so,
too. You know, I know
so, and
that
it's,
I'm sorry, let me try to
and
put this.
hold on one second, Janie. The other thing I really love that you said is taking responsibility for yourself, and taking
Yes,
responsibility for your actions in this partnership, and what can you do to protect yourself and shift this. I mean, I think a lot of times, you know, women in this situation want the narcissist to take responsibility for themselves, and most of the time they're not going to.
and let me
So,
tell you why. As a codependent, there is this piece of us that is seeking something or someone outside of ourselves to kind of help save the day. And that's
right,
why that's why I care so much about teaching people about self-love and about self-empowerment, particularly women. Now, I was saying, you know, narcissism isn't gender-based. I know that it would come across as it would be mostly men, but a female that is raised in a home like this, she has what's called toxic masculinity. So these
yes,
women
oh,
attract
that's it.
really soft, tender. They attract soft, tender-hearted, more right brainy essence men who they're going to be able to control. They need to find this whole thing with narcissists. It's a hierarchy thing. They are so disconnected from their actual, based on trauma, by the way, okay? And like I said, there's
Right.
lots of different forms of trauma, but they feel like a little bit lost, and so they splinter off these personalities. It's almost like they have an ego, we all do, but then they create splits off of the ego, so they get that. The more far removed from their true essence, if you think about when a child is nurtured properly, they're given the love and the proper attention and the proper guidance and protection and just enough guide, you know what I mean? Not like helicopter parents. You know, we have to look at everything. Everything in life is about harmonics. So these children, these people, we can very easily wait and desire them to wake up and do the right thing. And the other thing about codependence is that we also tend to see the potentiality and the possibility, and we
Big
always are that
time.
kind of, it's almost like we see the glass half full all the time, but they see it half empty all the time. That's why they're
Right.
never satiated. There is nothing, you will
Right. So
never be able to give this person enough.
it's that yin and yang, right?
Yes.
The codependent sees the glass half full, sees the potential of the person, really holds them very high, and has seen sparks of this really amazing human being. Like, we all have that within us. But, you
Right.
know, what the and they're living in the past, right? The past of
Yes.
who he was, maybe the first 2 months of the relationship, or, at moments in time, which,
Yes.
it's actually crazy making. It makes a
It really,
person
it is.
crazy.
I'm not kidding. Towards the end of my last relationship, and listen, I keep saying I. I'm grateful for what I got to experience because I needed to have what felt like a mental breakdown. It was like a mental, emotional, spiritual. I literally wanted to rip my skin off. I was like, just thinking about it makes me want to cry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because
What's coming up for you?
it's horrible to like, what's coming up is there's a handful of things that human beings experience that are like really painful. I won't go into all of them, but one of them would be like losing a child, having an able body, and then suddenly being in an accident, not having the able body. Like things like this I contemplated.
Yeah.
But one of the most painful things is to start to understand what unconditional love actually is, and then to try bad. I really don't, because I don't want to be mean or anything like that. He behaved exactly the way he needed to behave. It's just that at the end of the day, we both have free will, and I happen to have the eye of the divine that was, and the understanding, like the soul perspective to all of the crap that was coming up. And I say this with a lot of humility, because we are all superheroes in a lot of different ways, and we all have the gift of like just picking up on deeper information. And so, this is a really beautiful gift, but it could also be a little bit of a curse, and that's okay. Like, I've come to terms with that. But to be given X-ray vision and a soul heavenly sort of perspective on everything that's going on, and I saw it as this golden opportunity. I really did. I was like, wow. But it's almost like some people are just like this, la 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 la. They just can't. And so I was like wanting to look in the mirror, and I wanted to look at all of my crapola. It was like my trauma was being brought to the surface, and I was like, oh my God, that's why I've been doing that, and that's why I feel that, and this is all just like this stuff, and this is illusory, and this is like coming in and tainting my communication and my marriage. And then I'm seeing what's like going on with him, and I had already had a good sense of it, but God was taking me deeper into his childhood in lots of different ways. And I was like, wow. And then I thought it was so cool. Like, I just thought that it was so cool that I was getting this like divine therapy. And then on top of that, I was finding books, and all of a sudden all the solutions were coming, and they were right there. And so when I start crying,
it promotes it really does promote healing there, right? This was brought up to you for a reason. So
yes, and I'm here to be a healer. I'm here to help people heal. That's painful, to be in a partnership where you're given that and you're trying to love them unconditionally, and they cannot. Let me tell you, this is going back to narcissism. They have a warped version of love. They think it's love, but it's super broken and unhealthy. But they will always attract a person that has a little bit of a healthier version of it, or maybe a lot healthier version, so that those two contrasts can finally come together and heal the imbalances on both sides. But you both have to have the same intention, the same relationship goals, and you almost have to have a relationship with, God and something bigger than yourself. To know,
a power greater than yourself to help you in this experience, and also having a coach, a facilitator to support you as well, because anyone that enters into relationship, we've all experienced something, right? I always tell my son, I
Yes.
tell my son every single day, I said, you've got a great childhood. You've got an amazing childhood. And I say that to him. So hopefully he believes it. No,
Yes.
but,
Yes. And
but
there's different, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
right. And we do get to be urgent, but because we only have a couple more minutes left, and I'm loving what you're saying, but there's, when the intention is there and you've come together in the first place with the same intention as you were saying, to create a
Yes.
healthy, loving, balanced relationship, and you've outlined that together, you're really
Yes.
set up to win. We
Yes.
can arguably say that many people have narcissistic tendencies. I was
Yes.
raised with them, and sometimes I can go there even. And I said something the other day and I thought, wow, that wasn't very compassionate, you know? But
Right.
when
And
you
that's
have
the other thing.
awareness,
Yes. A narcissist refuses to be self-aware. They might to some degree, but not to the point where it's going to create change, because
right,
they're, again, going back to accountability and responsibility. Anything that's going wrong, for the most part, it's much easier for them to put blame outside of themselves.
right,
and
the
and the thing is,
deflection that happens.
yeah, it's,
Hmm.
and we're all projecting stuff onto each other, particularly in intimate partnerships, real close partnerships. But this stuff applies. There are friendships right now that are in the narcissist codependent thing. Please, I want people to understand,
Sure.
this is like parent child, this is like friend friend, this is like boyfriend girlfriend, husband wife. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Before coming here, it's an epidemic, and this is
Hmm.
why all the marriages are failing. One of the things that, again, through the divine, there was this guidance, and it was like, look, to feel safe in partnership, you need to be able to honestly and effectively communicate your wants,
Yeah. On so
call
I,
Kate,
and
your
and
desires, concerns, and insecurities. So if you cannot voice
right.
this, and that's
So
an acronym, you have,
yep.
go ahead.
Yeah.
I was going to
So
tell you the acronym. Yeah,
sorry to inter
safe is,
yeah, go ahead and share the
okay.
acronym. Really go for it.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry,
very
we're getting
fast. I
a
don't want
little
to go
bit
too
of a
deep into it.
disconnect. Yep.
Okay, so this ties back to narcissist. Okay, you need
Yeah.
to seek the truth. You need to seek the truth. That's why this is where a guide can kind of come in and help you, because sometimes you need somebody outside of yourself to help you seek the truth of why is this really happening, and why do you want what you want and do what you do. And then you have to have you have to take accountability and responsibility, but it's also having an attitude of atonement. Okay. F, you have
Hmm.
to free your mind. You have to free your mind of, meaning, this is the healing part. You have to free your mind of all the beliefs and ideologies and all these things that you've taken on that are no longer serving you, particularly in communication and in partnership / relationship,
Hmm.
and everything about life. Okay, you can think it's about making money. That's cool, but it's about relationship. It's about
Hmm.
how healthy are your relationships. Let me tell you why. Because you can look up all this stuff on a TED Talk and everything. Your wellness and your well-being at the end of the day comes down to your relationship with your partner, as well as your social circle. Because if they cause you
Absolutely.
anxiety and or grief, they're causing you stress, and stress robs your cells of vitality. Okay, so you need to free
Hmm.
your mind of your parent crap. You need to free your mind of anything that y'all done to each other. You need to free your mind of mistake. There's a lot of stuff. Okay, also narratives
Yeah.
around what it means to be a man and a woman. That's a whole nother thing. Now, if you can do S,
Yeah.
A, and F, you're at the E. You're able to express and expand your heart. You can live and lead in love. It doesn't mean you're going to nail it
Hmm.
every time, people. And this is a safe communication method. It's also the same acronym for self-discovery, because guess who your relationship with yourself and how effective you are communicating with your own self, and how much you're willing to honor truth and integrity for your own self, will determine how much you can extend that to another person. How much mercy you have for yourself. My ex had very little mercy for his
Yeah.
own self, and I was so disillusioned. Like, I was like, oh, one time I heard this, God said this, and it was genius.
So
It was like, a person will only understand you to the degree that they're willing to understand themselves. And that's kind of
yeah.
where I'll leave it.
And thank you. This is great. And really I do, we get to should step off here, but really just to wrap it up, Jeannie, thank you so much. I loved how you shared, um, the knowing yourself and the freedom to be fully self-expressed, communicate your wants, needs, and desires. I teach women
Safely.
about this all of the time, and how to, a lot of times we've been, I hate to say our spirits have been dampened, but, as women, at times we're programmed to stuff our wants, needs, and desires, and
Oh
then it
yeah.
becomes hard to share them. It becomes vulnerable because we get scared about what he thinks, or what, especially with a man, what he's thinking, instead of, being brave about being fully self-expressed. I mean, there are, and this is another conversation, ways to effectively share your wants, needs, and desires with a healthy man where he can hear you, right?
Yes.
And there's so
Yes.
much
Oh my
more
God, there's so
around
much to
this, and
cover. I know. And I'm
I
sorry
know,
about
I
the
so
fall.
appreciate your passion, and I so love having you on. This has been great, and I know it's really helped our ladies and our tribes out here, and I'm just
Yep.
sending everybody so much love, and thank you again. God bless you, and for
Oh,
being
thank you. And I
on,
just want to
and
tell
just
everybody,
adore you.
go. Thank you. I adore you. And please go check out at Rise Above TV. It's my mindfulness movement channel with all kinds of great information that we're
Yes,
going to be
please
launching.
do.
So please get connected with at Rise Above TV. Thank you for everybody that tuned in. And I'm just grateful for everybody that's been on my journey and all the love and support. So,
yes, and thanks again for joining
I'm
us
gonna put a
on
link.
our Summer of Love series. And I will see you Monday. We'll add a link in the comments. All right. Bye, everyone.
Peace, everyone.